There's a couple of things that I do when I'm writing up my goals, and basically what it has to do with is that I write all of my past goals and my future goals. It's just something that I've never seen anybody else do or talk about, but I always work when I'm working individually with people. I always have them do this, and it causes people to live an intentional life. Hi, Tim Sells here. In this series of videos, I'm talking about new rep training, the bridge to the pipeline. But this specific video, I'm talking about how to write your goals really, really well. And so you're going to write all your dreams and goals plus identities you've desired in the past and desire in the future. It's a very specific way that I go about doing this. And this is something that I don't see anybody else doing. So this is the bridge to the pipeline. The pipeline is what every business in the world has to do. And we're talking about over here is what are you being, right? So what's your identity? And you have to really get that one dialed in perfectly and create an intention line right straight to the reward, the harvest, the whatever it is. So that's when you're going to write, I want to make $100,000 or $1 million or whatever it is. And so that's over here, but you have to start out really, really dialed in with a laser beam focus right straight across. And all of this is what it is that you're going to be doing. All right, so let's dive into this one. So I'm going to give you an example first, and then I'm going to give you detailed instructions that then you go and do that. And then next week, we're going to do something else with it. Okay, so here is what I do. A particular reason I do it, and I'll explain that in just a minute, but of all the things I know, I wanted to be a garbage man. That's the first thing I ever remember wanting to be, because these guys would get to ride on the back of trucks. They would hop off and they would grab a garbage can. They would dump it. They would sit it down, and then they would whistle, and that would tell the driver to drive off. And I thought it was quite a kick for me to sneak up behind a tree. And as soon as the guy reached to grab the garbage can the first time, I would whistle, and the driver would start driving off, and the men would be chasing the truck. And it was real fun for me. And so I thought, you know what, that would be real cool. I wanted to be a policeman, a fireman, a baseball player, a football player, football commentator, because I would watch football. I wanted to be a carpenter because my dad was a carpenter. I wanted to be a cabinet maker. I loved to make furniture and stuff like that. I wanted to be a race car driver. My dad was a race car driver. It was a drag racing. Fishing, hunting, trapping, a mechanic, because we used to rebuild engines, motorcycle rider, a drummer, a guitar player, pro golfer, deep sea diver, skydiver, explosive bomb operator. These were the ones that I ended up really pursuing. Weapons operator, karate and jiu-jitsu, weight training, triathlete. And then network marketing. That's when I really dialed it in. After I was in special operations, and millionaire at a minimum. And so these were all the past, right? And so now you're moving in more into, so it was network marketing, and then I retired for 18 years with a residual income. And then I got into computer technology, internet technology, stock trading, a husband, a dad, a homeschooler, a horse rider, farmer, camper, things like that. Okay, so now, there's a specific reason that I want you to go back and recall all of the things that you ever wanted to be. All right, and the next video I'm going to do is going to really assist you in really dialing in everything in, okay? Because if I hadn't have looked at all of these things, then I wouldn't have been able to do, I want this, I don't want this. I want this, I don't want this, okay? Because these things tend to cling, kind of like barnacles on the bottom of a ship. I remember the first time that I was scraping these barnacles off the bottom of a ship, and I couldn't believe that they would say that it would create such a drag that, you know, I forget how much gas that it would burn extra because of the barnacles on the bottom of the ship, when the barnacles were about the size of, the end of your fingertip, right? But they accumulated, a lot of them accumulated, and it would drag. And I have found the same thing, that when I'm able to strip these things off, I get a real glide, real laser focused, dialed in, zip line to my goal, okay? So this right here, and on my computer it was a star, but it's an H here, so just imagine there's a star there. And so that was the item that I ended up with, okay? So I was in special operations. I had decided that I wanted a family, but I couldn't imagine a woman who would want a man who was defusing bombs, skydiving, and deep sea diving. So I said I needed to do something else. And so I didn't have another trade. I didn't know anything about sales, marketing, building a sales team, or anything like that. So I ended up really working on, because I'd spent 11 years and they had spent about $1 million training me on all of these activities. And so why waste it? Right? So that was the debate that was going on in my head. But again, it was that I wanted to be a husband, I wanted to be a dad, and I also wanted to leave that, okay? So how did I end up saying I don't want to do this, and don't want to do this, and don't want to do this, and don't want to do this, but I do want to do this? How did that actually come up? Well, I think that a lot of people live their lives to where they're a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and so forth. And so what I saw in network marketing was exponential residual income. Okay, so on your cell phone, you would have a service that you connect to. And so every time that I pay AT&T, that's a residual income. But my phone doesn't get other phones. And so when I build sales teams in network marketing, they build more and more and more. Okay, so they multiply. It's a dynamic that then becomes a dynamic, and so on. And so if I did this right, that was what I was thinking at the time. If I did this right, then I would be able to do anything I wanted. All right? Any of it. So I could still be a skydiver. I could still be a deep sea diver. I could still learn to play the drums. I could still, whatever I wanted to do, I could do. Because a lot of these I didn't want to give up. All right? I was willing to give up for a period of time so that I really got that done. All right? So what did I end up saying? I didn't say I'm a network marketer. What I ended up saying is that I'm a residual income earner. That was who I was being. So the I am portion of the bridge to the pipeline is I am a residual income creator. That is what I do. That is what I'm being when I'm in network marketing. Network marketing is a name of an industry. But what do I get? So the whole time that I was trying to compare and say, do I want to do this or do I want to do this? Do I want to do this or do I want to do this? Or do I, as I'm comparing, because that is where you get the real value, is comparing this to this and then this to this, okay? And so what I kept coming up with is the word freedom. Every single time I thought about this, all I could think about was, this is all about freedom. It's freedom of money. It's freedom of time. It's freedom to do all the things that I want to do. And it's freedom for me to have my wife at home. I didn't like the idea of choosing the woman of my dreams and then kissing her in the morning and us go our separate ways and then kiss when we both get home. That just didn't work out for me, right? Just like the 40 hours a week plan, the 40-year plan. It just didn't work out for me. It wasn't really what my idea was. And so that's the reason I ended up choosing network marketing. So to kind of pull this all together, what is my B? I am a residual income creator and trainer. Do, I build and train sales teams. Have, I have and give freedom. So I have freedom because I can't just say it's money, because the time is really the valuable asset. Because if I need to become a homeschooler for a month in order to really help my son with math, then that's what I have to become. And I don't want my business in the way. Okay, so that's kind of the way that I say that I have and give freedom. All right, so let's just think about a musician. A musician's playing. What is their reward? What is the have? Well, they enjoy music. They enjoy playing music. But if they play in front of another person, then they're giving that person enjoyment. Okay? So when I say I have and give freedom, when I recruit and train a sales team person to build a team so that that person also has freedom, finance, and time. You see what I mean? In other words, that's the have of what I'm after. Because I have freedom, I want to give other people freedom. And so anybody who is against this, number one, doesn't understand it, or number two, is an enemy to what this provides. Right? They don't like people to have freedom. Okay? All right. So the other thing that I always do when I write my goals is that I have my non-negotiables. So I may set a goal, a target at the end of this to say, this year I'm going to create X number of sales teams. Okay? But I always have my non-negotiables. And where did I get the non-negotiables? Okay, so if I go back here, you will see them: husband, dad, homeschooler, farm. Like, all of these things are the things that are non-negotiable. So I have these in here because I want you to also have your non-negotiables. Okay, so mine are wife, kids, religion, exercise, building and training sales teams, farm, and network marketing power, which is this channel, as well as some of the other assets that I do for it. These are mine after doing this exercise plus future exercises. So in other words, where am I trying to take you? I'm trying to take you to where you have this real simple clarity about who you are, what you do, and what you get. Okay, that's really what this is about. Okay, so homework assignment number 1. List all be, do, have goals you've ever had. Okay, now you don't have to in other words, if you've completely dismissed them and all of those kinds of things, fine. But any of them that pop into your mind when you're doing the exercise, write it down. So what have you wanted to be? What have you wanted to do? What have you wanted to have? Okay, it's not real complicated. You just saw my list, all right? I sketched it out yesterday, probably, I've written it many times, but probably maybe 30 minutes I sketched the thing out. I keep thinking of other things occasionally as I was writing these up and stuff, but it's not a difficult process. So maybe spend an hour on this. Number 2, list what you really want in the future. Okay, so what do you want to be in the future? What do you want to do in the future? What do you want to have in the future? List your non-negotiables. All right, so here are a couple of idea triggers that I always think about. So ask, what do I really want? For some reason, when I ask it that way, it kind of cuts to a deeper want than a surface want. I'm not going to pop out and say I want a TV when I say, what do I really want, right? And so that's the way I do it. And then write down everything that you really want. And you just keep writing, don't ever correct yourself and say, nah, go ahead and write it down. Because you're going to do the next exercise, which is you're going to go, nah, right? You're going to assign it a conclusion, okay? All right. And then also, if I ever hear any noise, if I ever hear my dad talking, if I ever hear my mom, if I ever hear my sister, if I ever hear a military friend of mine or a boot camp instructor or somebody who is antagonistic to me about network marketing or somebody who doubted me, if I ever hear a voice, then I always say, if I absolutely, but I would, me talking to you, if you absolutely believed you could achieve anything you want by sticking to it for long enough, learning everything you need to know, what would you want in the next 3 to 5 years? Because a lot of times a person won't write it down because they don't think they can have it. Right? And whoever did that to you, I'm sorry. But you had to agree to it to keep yourself limited. Okay, so that had an effect. And so that person's got to go. And that voice has got to go. Okay? So just write it down. What one thing would most move me towards what I really want? Okay, so sometimes I want something, but I'm not quite sure how to go to it. So it would be like, well, what would be the one thing that I could do? So now you can kind of see when I had all of my ideas up on a board, I ended up saying, well, network marketing would be that thing that would get me closer to anything that I wanted. And so that's the reason that I say the one thing would most move me towards what I really want. And what I really wanted, but I never wrote it down specifically, was freedom. And that's what I was after, because the military is quite restraining in terms of, like, you know, they tell you what you're going to dress in. They tell you what your hair is going to look like. They tell you everything. Okay. So if I had no barriers or input from others, what would I really go after? Okay. So those are idea triggers. And so, you can just pause the video right when I end and then back it up a little bit and go through these triggers and just, nail it. All right, so in summary, you're going to write, what did I want in the past? What do I really want in the future? Reduce the list to one thing plus your non-negotiables. Okay, so that's the simplicity of what you're doing. I gave you my examples. I explained to you how I made those decisions. And then in the next video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to get the rest of that list off, so that it doesn't end up becoming a barnacle for you. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Share it if you know somebody who's writing their goals or needs to write their goals. And so thanks so much for watching.